I'm Darren Cabo McCauley, founder and chief executive officer of Concierge Medical Cannabis. The first talk that we're going to embark on today is about cannabis throughout the ages, a history of medicinal cannabis. The purpose of these educational materials are so that individual patients can undertake this course of study at their own pace, taking from it the information that they need or desire. You can review this information before your medical certification to prepare yourself for questions that you'd like to ask, or you can review them afterwards if you have lingering questions or you think about something after your certification's complete. So let's begin with medical cannabis through the ages, because cannabis as medicine is anything but new age. From ancient remedy to modern medicinal agent, folklore tells us that cannabis first grew from the grave of King Solomon. However, its actual history with mankind isn't much easier to elucidate. People likely indulged in the first use of cannabis as a medicine by ingesting its nutritious seeds. But it wasn't before long that the intoxicating effects of its flowers when burned or eaten were noted, in addition to the strength of ropes and cloths made by its fibers. The phytochemicals in cannabis interact with the receptors of the endocannabinoid system that have long been known to have euphoric and healing properties by cultures across the world. Cannabis seems to be originally indigenous to Central Asia and was first described as a medicinal agent 5,000 years ago by the Chinese medicine emperor Shen Nung in 2027 BC. As ancient people traded, traveled, and fought wars in different regions of the globe, cannabis traveled with them. It has been used by the ancient Greeks, Romans, Egyptians, Indians, and throughout the continent of Africa to treat various illnesses, including gout, joint pain, glaucoma, inflammation, menstrual cramps, and constipation. Napoleon's soldiers brought the concept of smoking hashish from Egypt to Europe, where the plant and its medicinal and recreational properties spread throughout the continent. By the Middle Ages, cannabis was a part of the apothecary and treatment regimen of almost all early European physicians. However, at the time, the need for cannabis was primarily as a source of textiles because of the strength and durability of hemp, the non-psychoactive component of the cannabis stalk or root. Medicinal usage fell out of favor and will be all but forgotten in Europe for hundreds of years. The resurrection of cannabis as medicine is strongly correlated with the curiosity and work of one man. Sir William Brooke O'Shaughnessy, an Irish surgeon who studied at the University of Calcutta, was exposed to the use of cannabis as an analgesic or pain-relieving medicine. In the 1840s, he brought the concept of the tincture of cannabis back to the United Kingdom with him and reignited the European cannabis medical age by doing so. Cannabis was quickly used by physicians and pharmacists throughout the British Empire and was so well accepted that even Queen Victoria was prescribed a tincture of cannabis to treat her menstrual cramps. The use of medicinal cannabis spread and was accepted in America as well. The 1850 U.S. Pharmacopoeia, a set of standards for prescription and medication in America, lists cannabis as a treatment for neuralgia, tetanus, typhus, cholera, rabies, dysentery, alcoholism, opiate addiction, anthrax, leprosy, incontinence, gout, convulsive disorders, tonsillitis, insanity, excessive menstrual bleeding, uterine bleeding, among many others. Almost all societies that have embraced cannabis have also placed restrictions on its use and some form of prohibition to limit overindulgence in the intoxicant. However, the confluence of factors in soon-to-be modern-day America would happen with a political speed, monetary benefit, and military might that all but severed the centuries-old relationship between medicine and cannabis. The invention of the hypodermic syringe, synthetic opioids, the first barbiturates produced in pill form, and the derivation of aspirin from willow bark in the late 1800s were true medical innovations that led to the rapid administration of these pharmaceutical agents, which could also be titrated more easily and more reliably than tinctures. This led many physicians to opt for the quick-acting injection of opioid-inspired narcotics and the prescription of pills and tablets instead of the slow-acting tincture of cannabis. The highly addictive nature and respiratory depressant side effects of opiates wouldn't be fully recognized until years later. However, by then, the genie was out of the bottle, and this change in prescription habits fed the appetite to distance from botanical medicine and steer towards the age of pharmaceuticals. The rise of opioids and the subsequent change in the physician prescribing habits was made worse by the politics of the day. The 1906 Pure Food and Drug Act made the self-styled formulation of botanicals illegal and effectively stopped practicing physicians from compounding and dispensing their own botanicals, requiring them to instead buy botanicals in order to dispense them. Under pressure from textile manufacturers who were threatened by the cheap production and competition from hemp, they were empowered by the increased recreational use of cannabis in the 1920s, inspired by Mexican immigrants who reintroduced the habit of smoking as an intoxicant. Harry J. Anslinger instituted the Harrison Tax Act in 1930 and the derogatory term marijuana as well. Marijuana was used to inspire fear of the other, in this case, Mexican immigrants. And the tax stamp created regulatory hurdles with a $2,000 fine if handlers of hemp, cannabis, or its derivatives did not act in accordance with regulation. These changes acted in concert to stunt medicinal cannabis for a time, as physicians had to spend money to prescribe it and faced enormous fines for doing so incorrectly. The dark ages of prohibition of medicinal cannabis followed in America, with recreational use progressively made illegal on a federal and state level. Most heinously, research of the plant's medicinal benefits were prohibited as well. However, research on the use of medicinal cannabis continued throughout the world, most notably in Israel and Brazil. Now legal for medicinal use in 36 states and the District of Columbia, medicinal cannabis is seeing a bit of a resurgence. Critics of medicinal cannabis will often state that there haven't been sufficient studies of the plant or its effects on humans. Don't fall for this ploy. Botanicals don't often fall into the same binary, double-blind, placebo-controlled paradigm of pharmaceuticals. Yet and still, cannabis has been studied by peoples from cultures worldwide for over 5,000 years and has more articles written about it than any other modern therapeutic. Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation on medical cannabis through the ages with Concierge Medical Cannabis. I'm Dr. Darren C. McCauley, signing out.